Today I'm setting up my February bullet journal pages in my Scribbles That Matters journal. I've been using a bullet journal for about 3 months now and just trying to figure out what pages suit me best. So I'm going to start with February cover page. I'm not too particular about the way I create my letters. It's more about practicing. So I keep my bullet journal simple, but I also like to be creative and practice lettering. So that's why I try and do a little bit of calligraphy writing in my own form. I just use a piece of copy paper to lean on as I'm left-handed and I can smudge my writing if I'm not careful. I'm just using a fine pen here. I don't mind if my lines are not straight. I just like to freehand everything. Okay, so now I'm just going to colour those hearts in. That's my February cover page completed. Just a simple page, nothing too fancy, nice and quick and easy. Now we'll move on to the next page, which is going to be my February calendar. Just going to start with the header. I'm a very new beginner using these pens, and I don't really mind how it turns out. It's more the enjoyment of just using the pens and practicing my skills. Just continuing that heart pattern right through the month in the spreads. Just nice and simple. Now I'll just move on to the calendar. I don't use a ruler. I don't mind if my lines are wobbly. I'm just going to write the dates of the end of January in a light grey. and also the first 2 days of March. I'm not going to complete this overview of the month today, as I may have more than one event on some days, so I'll just do it as I go, just marking in what happened for each day of the month, as in events and appointments. So I'll just start with the 1st of February. That's my completed February calendar. And now we'll move on to the next page. This is my goals page. On this spread, I'm going to list my goals for the month and the habits that I'm going to put in place to help to achieve those goals. My intent is to improve at lettering, so I try and do all of my headers in this way so that I can practice. Okay, now I'll just colour in those hearts again. And there's my completed goals page. I'm just leaving this one blank for now. Now we're moving on to well-being habits. So the habits that I want to instill for the month of February. Now I'll just complete a border. Okay, so how I complete this is I list my habits that I want to complete for the month down here. And as I complete each habit, I'll just colour in the square corresponding to the day. Okay, let's move on to the next page. So this page is another tracker as well, and it's home tasks, like cleaning and so forth. Let's start. Just colour in the hearts. Okay, so now I'll just complete the border. Okay, so that's the home tasks page completed, and what I'll do is list the tasks that I want to complete around my home for February down the side here, and then as I complete those tasks I can mark them off in this section by just colouring in the square that corresponds to the day. This is a good way of keeping track of when you cleaned the bathroom last, or if you want to increase a task, increase the habit of completing it, you can put it in this tracker and it will prompt you when you look at it each day to possibly complete that task more often. Okay, let's move on to the next page. So now we're up to the daily spread. I prefer to have a whole page to a day. I do go through a journal quite quickly doing it this way, but there's a few things that I like to track daily, so this is the way that I've set it up at the moment. It may change down the track. Start with the day of the week. Let's take the fine liner. Once again, I'm making borders so that I can practice getting my lines a bit straighter. Okay, I'm just going to colour in that heart pink. And this section here above the line, this is where I would add events and appointments, and how I would do that is by just adding a little square here that I can colour in, and then I'd write the event or the appointment here, and then I could colour that in with the pink when that event was completed or appointment. If it was cancelled, I would just cross it inside the square, and if it was moved forward, I would do an arrow in the square pointing forward to the right. If it's something important that I need to remember, I will do a little asterisk beside it as well. So here in this section, the star is my intention for the day, for myself, so how I want to be during the day. So I just write just a word usually, just there on that line. And then at the end of the day, I complete 3 separate things that I'm grateful for beside these hearts. Then in this section, I will write my tasks that I want to complete for the day. If they're important tasks, I will put a little asterisk here in this column. Down here in this section, this is where I track my health, how I'm feeling health-wise. At the moment, I've been tracking that. Maybe something that I will stop in the future. And just in this bottom section, it's like my theme for the day. So if I've read something, listened to something, or had a conversation with somebody, and there was something that really stood out to me, I'll just write what I learnt for that day, just briefly, just summarise it in that section. It may just be a quote or a phrase. Okay, I'll just write the date in this heart now, and that day is completed. So I just go on in this manner for all of the days. And actually I usually just colour these in as well. And that's the daily spreads. Continue on in that manner. Okay, I'll just move on to the next one. So we have Sunday here, and then at the end of each week, I create a weekly task spread where I write tasks that I'm not sure when I'll complete them. And then at the end of each day, I just have a quick look at this list to see if there's anything that I can put into the next day's spread. Okay, now we'll move on to the weekly task page. So those 2 pages are completed. So following that weekly task page, I'll start with Monday again, follow through to Sunday, then another weekly task page, and so forth for the rest of the month. So I've left enough pages to complete those spreads for the rest of the month. And then I move on to my expense tracker. For my expense tracker, I just complete each day as I have an expense. So I will only fill out just this one page, but I have other pages allocated. I've just put Friday into this expense tracker. I'm not sure if I'll have an expense, but just so that you can see how I set it up. So I'm just doing another heart, just like I did on the daily spreads. Keep that theme going. So how I complete this expense tracker is I just write where the item was purchased, and then underneath what the item is, and then just in the column adjacent to where the item was purchased, I just enter the price there. When I've entered all the expenses for that day, I just draw another line across the page, just like this one, and start again with another heart, and the day of the week underneath that line. On Sunday, I just balance the week and write the total at the bottom. So when I get to the bottom of that page, I just turn the page and set up another expense spread until the end of the month. And that's the last spread for my journal for the month. I'll just give you a flip through of the pages we completed today. This is my February cover page. You can see that I do press quite firmly with the pens, and it does show through the page. This is my February calendar, and I'll complete the overview of the month with appointments and events, which will then flow onto this page as well. This is my goals page. Wellbeing habits page, where I'll track my habits for the month. Home tasks. where I'll also track my tasks that I complete around the home for the month. Then into my daily spread. Ending each week with the weekly tasks list. And then finally, my expense tracker. That's it for today. Let me know if you'd like to see any of the other spreads or collections I have in my bullet journals. Thank you for watching.